now. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I told you I like the happy. It's very nice. I'll get tired of it in a little bit, but for now it's Happy Tuesday. A lot of fun looking at the hours, but you got a different assignment this time. You have to find a piece by Philip Glass that's not part of the hours soundtrack, but there's plenty out there. So let me know if you need any help. Get that to me by today. Philip Glass. That's his spelling. So if you want to type it into the Google, you can. Today, so we've done advanced classes. We've revisited things. Chuck Berry, Louis Jordan last week, Mozart, Philip Glass. We've done that, but let's get back into jazz. It's a new year. We need to understand more about jazz. So we'll revisit today Miles Davis, probably the most famous jazz musician. Everyone knows Miles Davis. Everyone knows Louis Armstrong, Miles Davis. Those are the big names that stick out. Even if you don't know jazz or like jazz, everyone knows Miles. But we need context. We need a little bit of background, and I'm gonna replay this class from, I think, like one of the early first classes we ever did, just to run down his life, his trajectory, what he's about, and then tomorrow we're going to dive into advanced Miles Davis because he came up with a new sound. But what when people say, well, wait a second, what's that? What is that new sound? We're just going to look at one song and just figure out what that how do you get a new sound? We're just going to take one bar, if that's fine, and just look at harmonically what he's doing and why that resonates as a new sound. And it'll just be, way too much fun. So let's review Miles Davis. Take a look at this. Look at listen to his sound. Listen to how innovative he was. That's the big word. Not technically the best trumpet player, but he had style, innovation. Nobody could play like Miles. You knew that sound right away. So let's take a look at Miles. So Miles Davis was born in 1926 in Illinois, and middle-class family. His father was a dentist, and his mom wanted him to play violin, but that didn't work out. So he played the trumpet. We all know what a trumpet is. This is what it is, right? Trumpets used in classical music we've talked about. And also, obviously, in Dixieland with Louis Armstrong. So Miles started playing the trumpet. He went to Juilliard School of Music. We talked about Juilliard. We talked about how the composer Philip Glass went to Juilliard, one of the most famous institutions still thriving today. They have jazz now, but back then in the 40s or so, it was jazz was still really new. So it was all classical, and that's kind of why Philip Glass was also not very happy at Juilliard, because it wasn't. And he's another example, but we won't go into him because we already did, of somebody not feeling comfortable in their skin, in their style, not finding their voice, right? So Miles goes to this classical college and gets in, which is great. It's one of the hardest places to get into. Still, it's amazing. He goes there, learns classical, music, but it drops out. It's not really him. So also because he met somebody kind of important, Charlie Parker, who we talked about, who played in Inglewood, remember? Okay. So he meets, and starts playing with the founder of bebop music, and we've talked about bebop, the elements of bebop music. Fast notes, people doing scales, and Charlie Parker and Dizzy founded that. Very exciting, fast-paced music. Miles starts playing with Charlie Parker in a bebop style, and after a while begins to kind of, and I don't know, this would be a good question. I don't know if he thought that he couldn't keep up, or if he wasn't interested, or both. And I don't mean keep up because he wasn't good enough. But was it his true sound that he wanted? Did he have something in mind that maybe I'll create my own style? Maybe there's something else that I could do this for a long time, but I don't, this isn't true. There's something else I have out there. And I know that a lot of us and clients, you guys have that, where it's like, you know, we make you, we don't make you, we suggest you sing songs, you do scenes and acting, improvisations, you do dances, and if you don't want to do it, we're usually okay, especially if you're like, I want to do this, and then we see how passionate and good you are at doing something original, because we always promote originality, right? We're all a family at PASW, but we also really enjoy and give you guys the freedom, I hope you feel that, to do what you want to do. Now, that doesn't mean it's free time and you can do whatever you want to do. It means that you can do something that you feel that you've worked on, that there's a craft at home, right? We always tell you that when you come, you should come to, you know, you rehearse at home. That's what you do, the hard work at home. You perform when you come to school, and we help you with that. So, so Miles leaves Charlie Parker's band because he's thinking he can come up with a new sound, and this is why he is so important. Miles really came up with a whole new style of jazz. So you had swing music with Louis Armstrong, bebop with Charlie Parker. Then where do you go after that? Now we're like in the late 40s, early 50s. Miles teams up with this guy, Gil Evans, who's a really great, brilliant arranger. And they start doing these, I don't want to say slower paced jazz, but it's different than bebop. It's very different than bebop. And he starts getting into this thing, developing his own style. And and we call that cool jazz. Milder, more relaxed, more of a minimalist approach. And also Miles introduces something very different that other people hadn't really used before in jazz, and that's the harmon mute. This is what the harmon mute sounds like. So do you see the difference of bebop and swing and how different Miles' music is? It's a world of difference. It's still under the umbrella of jazz, but he created this whole sound because he had a vision. He was innovative. That's part of why he was so famous. And he was sloppy sometimes in his playing. If he took a solo, he would fluff and it would be sloppy. But for some reason, that was part of the style of music. That was okay. That wasn't. He wasn't like I'm going to be the best trumpet player in the world. That's kind of a ridiculous goal, right? Who cares? There is no best or whatever. So he wasn't the most technically amazing trumpet player. He couldn't do certain things. I don't think he could. Maybe he could, but certain trumpet concertos that were technically super advanced. I think maybe he could. I don't think he was interested in doing that. He wanted to do his own thing. He had his own voice. He had his own vision. And of course, nobody knew Miles Davis was going to be famous, not even Miles, but he was going to be different. He was going to do his own thing. We might do several sections of Miles because he's just way too important. And I don't even want to get into the later Miles because he was asked, by somebody, why do you think you're so important? He said, well, I changed music 5 or 6 times. Changed music, not even jazz, but music 5 or 6 times. We won't get into 5 or 6 times because there's just too many times. But I do want to focus on the early Miles, the transition from bebop to cool jazz, because there's very, very important music that comes out that people still listen to today. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's a rundown of it. So tomorrow we're going to look at Kind of Blue, which I addressed in this class earlier. The 1959 album that most people, if they don't know that much about jazz or Miles, they know Kind of Blue and Miles Davis. That's so iconic. So that's why I'm just saying that as that I'm not choosing something obscure today. This is something that's in popular culture, this album. And we're going to look at the first song. We played So What. I played it earlier in the class, but we're going to dive into more advanced thinking of how he's getting these sounds, what he's doing, what Bill Evans is doing. And we looked at Gil Evans in this class too, no relation. So, I mean, I can't wait. I'll be sitting here for 24 hours straight, just waiting patiently to talk to you tomorrow for our Advanced Miles Davis. Have a great rest of the day. Get the hours into me in the next few hours, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.